So I've been in the figure collecting game for about 10 years now, and the ones I collect are usually the official licensed figures made by first-party manufacturers. And these are typically made out of plastics such as PVC or ABS. However, there is another prime material that is used for a lot of figures as well, that is resin. Resin is the material of choice for a lot of third-party studios and individuals who are creating their own like fan-made figures. So these ones are usually unlicensed. They're not official merch. Not to say that they're bootlegs, because bootlegs are a separate thing. Bootlegs are something that try to imitate an existing officially licensed product already and try to pass that off as original when it's not. Most resin figures are usually based off of their own original pose designs or maybe existing fan art with hopefully permission from the artist. Think of it like fan art, but for figures. So the good folks over at Ors GK, which is a store that specializes in selling these resin styled figures, hit me up and asked me if I wanted to collaborate. So I figured this would be a good a time as any to try to get into resin figures and see what they're all about. Now I never got into these before because from my point of view, they were mainly focused on like shonen stuff, like Dragon Ball or Naruto, One Piece. Those ones look really sick. But ever since getting into Star Rail, I've been looking at a lot of resin Star Rail figures and I'm like, this is a resin figure of Kafka from Hakimi Studios. At least from the image, it did look pretty sick, so I'm hoping the quality is actually up to par. So I guess we'll see. Bro, this thing is massive. Oh my god. So you get a little voucher. Man, this thing's wrapped up in foam. It's even got straps on it. That is crazy. Now, what are these? Are these gloves? Oh, they are gloves. Nice. Alright, let's get these Velcros off. That's a lot of parts. Damn, this thing is tightly packaged. Cuts in the foam for each individual piece. Very nice. Good God. Thick piece of acrylic. Oh, on the bottom, 1/6. No wonder it was pretty big. I was expecting 1/7. 1/6 does make kind of more sense now. Even got the spider web. Now, this thing didn't come with instructions. I wasn't expecting any because I've heard that most resin figures don't come with instructions. Another piece of the base. Okay. I'm gonna assume right here. Why is this so big? It's tipping backwards. This looks pretty good. What is this thing? They give you a little plaque. Oh, you got one of Kafka's arms here. Her other arm. Oh, her headpiece. Oh yes, very, very good job. I wouldn't say the quality level is anything like Alters, but probably just about Kotobukiya. I will say one thing I did notice about this figure is that I believe her glasses are a little bit off center. I think they should be more to the right. Looks like on her neck piece right here, there's actually magnets, so I'm pretty sure the figure does attach via magnets. We have her upper body. It's probably a little bit harder for you to see here because I think on my top camera it's not going to autofocus. Oh, I'm going to have to censor this. They have silica packets. I mean, these are mainly used for electronics to keep the moisture out, but it makes sense that they would probably use this for this type of product as well. Lower torso version, I'm showing you the back side because her bosom is sculpted and they do have the nips, so I definitely do not want to get demonetized for that. And then we have the other body piece that is fully clothed. And yes, this one has the bakery as well. Where the heck do I put this one? I will say I do like how they designed this with the magnets. I think that was a nice touch. Another sword. That is crazy. We have even more weapons here on the bottom right. Oh my god, this is gonna be a lot. Damn. Just double checking to make sure I didn't miss any pieces. So this piece goes right here on the side. Oh, I spoke too soon. The moment you put Kafka in, the base will stay firm to the ground. I guess the bakery is quite heavy. Next, let's add her torso. Ooh. And there you have it. That is Kafka from Honkai Star Rail, 1/6 scale resin figure from Hakimi Studios. To give you the bottom line up front, fantastic figure. 100% recommend for any Kafka fans out there. All right, now before we start talking about the figure, I do want to mention the box real quick. It's actually designed. I was actually expecting it to be just a solid color of like purple or black with maybe some text and the company's logo, but they actually did go out of their way to design this thing. The front has a wide shot of the figure itself, which is pretty cool, and you got like the Kafka text from like the trailer, a couple of images of Kafka, even like this evil chibi one, and on the sides you got more chibi emotes and a couple of other images. Now the funny thing about this box is that I thought the print quality was actually pretty bad just because on some of the elements on the box it's pretty bad, but this is actually just due to the fact that they use low res images. They could have upscaled them just to make them sharper, but a little bit of a nitpick. I do like the backside though. I think they did a fantastic job with this thing, just the angle that they used as well with the text. They did add an awkward cutout at the bottom. I feel like they should have just gone full image of the figure, but that's just me. Inside the box, you do get two pieces of foam just sandwiched together. They're wrapped up in black straps, which is very nice. Feels very premium, which makes sense because we'll get into the price in a second. There's a whole ton of pieces in the box. So you have the chunky base itself. Like this thing is heavy. It's like a huge thick piece of acrylic. Very cool designs on it as well. I like the spider webs, and inside there's actually a white large spider logo. It's a little bit hard to see. The base itself actually does light up if I didn't mention it before. They even provide their own DC power brick as a little barrel plug connector here at the bottom. I thought why not USB-C, but maybe it was just cheaper this way for them. The power brick is actually quite easy to miss. It's in a white box. I believe it's actually under like some black foam. Unless you're actually digging around inside of the box to make sure you don't miss anything, you're probably gonna miss that, so just be careful. So that's the base. You do get three other portions of the base that are just huge acrylic, I guess they're supposed to resemble fingers, which is very cool, but they all attach via magnets on the base. Kafka herself comes in a multitude of body pieces. So the main portion, you have two torsos, one that is not safe for work, that is partially nude, pretty nice. And then of course you get like the full torso and leggings. You get the upper portion of her chest, two arm pieces, her head, her jacket, a little cloth, and another piece of clothing that goes right underneath her jacket. And then you have a multitude of weapons, which I'm pretty sure are all based off of actual weapons from the game. I'll try to grab images of each weapon if possible. And also they did throw in this extra little piece that is just like a metallic plaque that just has Kafka on it, wanted, her bounty number. On the back you have a spider web, a sword. Now in terms of assembly, she doesn't come with any instructions, and it might seem a little bit daunting at first because when you first open up the box, you'll have like a crap ton of pieces and you're like, how the heck do I even start on this thing? Obviously the base is a good way to start, so you plant the base down and these fingers all attached via magnets. And they are pretty strong, so these things aren't really gonna go anywhere, of course, unless like, I don't know, an earthquake happens and it falls over or something. Then you plug in Kafka's torso right into the base with her foot. This one's a little bit tricky. I don't even think I actually have mine all the way down. I think it might actually go further, but I'm not too sure. Now, despite it not having instructions, as long as you follow like official images that have been like shown off from the studio, you should be able to put it together no problem. And before you put on the chest piece onto the torso, you're gonna wanna put the jacket cover over it and then attach her arms. They also attach via magnets. It's a little bit tricky. This is probably the most annoying part of assembling the figure, is getting her arms in. It is a little bit stiff. You have to kind of maneuver it in there. Be careful of paint transfers. I actually did have to deal with that a little bit. I was able to wipe most of it off, but luckily the jacket covers them, so it's all good. Now you can actually display her without the jacket, but I would not recommend doing that because the jacket actually hides some very visible seams of her arms connecting to her shoulders. Their jacket was a clever way of hiding the seams, which doesn't make sense to me because if they're going to include partial nudity pieces, then you're probably going to want less clothing if possible. And displaying her without the jacket would be possible, but you're gonna have that ugly seam. So then you can attach the chest piece on top. Then you can put her headpiece on, which also is magnetized a little bit. Next are the weapons. They all fit in their designated spots. I think you might be able to switch some of them around, but some of the weapons do fit in designated areas, like the lance, for example. I also will say the build quality for the weapons are pretty good. About half of them actually feel like solid metal. Feel how solid that is? Yeah, you hear that? But some of them are kind of flimsy, like just pieces of cardboard. You can hear the difference. Sorry if that was a little bit loud. The last part are obviously like the threads, which I think was a very nice addition to her figure. They all have their designated spots. Just look at the picture, you'll be able to figure it out. Very genius way of actually connecting the threads as well. They have like these little metal cylinders on the end that go directly inside the holes on the base, and they just magnetize and it does the rest. Oh, and then of course the last piece would be to plug in the light. Now pricing for this one, this is the standard edition. I believe this retails for around 500 USD. Now again, I'm not a resin figure expert on here. At least on Aura's GK's website, this thing was 500 USD. After release, if stores don't have them in stock, you're probably going to be having to pay up outrageous aftermarket prices for these things. But like I said, this is the standard edition. I believe there was also a deluxe edition, which I don't know the complete differences between the two. I think the only difference was that it came with a couple of more additional pieces. The main one being like a full naked body piece, at least according to like the description here. And then they also had a theatrical version, which is a completely different figure pretty much, because it looks nothing like this. It's much more simple, but it's way more not safe for work. I'd show you, but obviously I don't want to get demonetized. When it comes to resin figures, they typically do have multiple variations. Sometimes you might have the option to go with a realistic face version instead of an anime face version. If you like that kind of thing, I don't really care for realistic stuff, so like, you know, bump that. You might have multiple editions where you could get both types. So like for this one, you could get an edition that comes with the deluxe and the theatrical version. I think that one costed like $1,000 though, so like, you know, kind of expensive there. Now, of course, that's without shipping. Shipping is probably going to kick you in the nuts with how big the box is. Now, I would love to give you a price, but I actually don't know the shipping cost because I got sent this for this video. I didn't have to pay anything, thank God. But is this thing actually worth that price though? I would say so. I mean, this is my first resin scale figure, so I don't exactly know how good this is in terms of like the quality spectrum, but considering how this is from a third party, it's not official merch, I will say this thing is an absolute beast of a figure. She looks great. 1/6 scale, which is way bigger than I thought it was going to be, and the whole ensemble of the figure looks amazing. Like, this is a great set piece for your Honkai Star Rail collection. In terms of Kafka, her sculpt is fantastic, gorgeous, like perfect. She has the whole bakery back there, man. The most important thing I was worried about when it came to this figure was going to be the hair and the face. If they couldn't really nail those and it was going to be a little bit Play-Doh-like, probably not going to be totally worth it for me. But after having looked at it real close, they got the face perfect. The hair is wonderfully sharp. I wasn't expecting the sculpt work on the hair to be this good. Some of the details on the clothing probably could be a little bit sharper, but aside from that, everything looks really good. Outfit looks good, paint job is good. I also really love the pose for this thing as well. She looks like she's falling forward, but of course she's hanging on the strings. This thing looks amazing. Absolutely stellar Kafka figure. And Hakimi Studios are definitely like my favorite resin figure manufacturer right now. that's not saying much because this is my first one. Now, does this mean I'm going to start collecting resin figures from now on? No, my budget cannot accommodate for resin figures right now, unless I'm way more financially stable somehow in the near future. Resin figures are still off the list for me, which is a shame too, because there's a lot of cool upcoming HSR resin figures that I would love to do a video on. Firefly has got like 2 really sick ones that I would love to take a look at. Jinglu's got a really nice one. Acheron as well. The resin figure game, you know, since they don't gotta wait for licenses approvals, they can just shoot them out one by one. Silver Wolf actually already has one from Akimi Studios as well, and that one looks really cute. Like, it has mini Silver Wolf chibis. Adorable. And then there's also another one, I forget who it's by. There's another Silver Wolf figure that comes out I think sometime next year. It looks amazing. But of course, I'm just gonna assume those are all just renders, and the actual final product could be different. Now, in terms of like official figures, Kafka is getting an official one from Apex. It's obviously not as ridiculous as this, but I will be picking that up as well. So for anybody who thought I wasn't gonna be buying that because I have this, don't. I'm going to be getting that too. One little addition that was happening while I was uploading this video, Mythos has announced that they were doing a Kafka scale, 1/8 scale live version. She looks very elegant here, very beautiful. Since it looks relatively simple and it's by Mythos, this is probably going to be relatively cheap. In terms of other official Star Rail figures, there are Venturin and Black Swan that are coming out from Alter. Who knows when those are going to be ready, and March 7th, who's also being made by Apex. Keep a lookout for that. Huge thanks to OrangeDK again for sending this out so I could do a video on it, because without them, you wouldn't have this video. So, and shoutouts to Akimi Studio for creating such an amazing figure. I'm glad I got this because I didn't get Kafka in-game on a rerun, so I'll take this as a consolation prize. I guess I shouldn't be too greedy. I got E1 Robin and E6 Fei Zhao, so I almost got lucky though. So close. So if you want to pick this up, I'll leave a link down below in the description. It is an affiliate link, so you will help out the channel, no additional cost to you. You can also use my discount code. But of course, if Kafka's not your thing, you can check out the other Honkai Star Rail resin figures. There's quite a lot. In fact, I'll link a few down below. Now, where am I going to put this thing?